saw last night, mostly due to the nature of this group. We're not seeing vandalism. We're not seeing water bottles or any other items like fireworks being thrown at the protesters. Instead, a peaceful march from the White House to the U.S. Capitol building through the heart of downtown Washington, taking the better process of an hour on a warm day. You can tell that some protesters just needing a break, taking a stop around a tree. We're now in the shade of the trees of the U.S. Capitol grounds, opposite the United States Supreme Court and the Library of Congress. And now, this march has got to its end for now. U.S. Capitol grounds. I'll have you listen in.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Do you guys want to Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Let's stay here in the shade.
I can't breathe! 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 Take on me! 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 Take on me!
Hey, Curtis, first.
Yeah, for those just joining us here on WSA9 Facebook and YouTube digital coverage, we are here at the east ground of the U.S. Capitol building as protesters have decided to march here from the White House, Lafayette Park, all the way down Pennsylvania and Constitution Avenues, here to tell Capitol Police just what they think. This has been completely peaceful. We haven't noticed any vandalism or any acts of violence. A few minutes back, we did see one Capitol Police officer on a motorcycle surrounded by protesters, but instead it just turned to be them taking a knee in front of those Capitol Police officers as a way to prevent that Capitol Police officer from moving. But again, completely peaceful here as several hundred protesters are here. I'm going to tell Chris Mulholland to probably tell us to take it off. I'll just wrap it up myself. I'll just wrap it up myself.
He's got to know to take it off. I can't just leave it off.
Chris?
There's not this many people.
Tells you right there, it wasn't beating down the business. It didn't say police killings. Because that's what they are. They're not police involved. Many of us went to meet with that panel they had put together, half of which was comprised of other law enforcement officers. And we went to give our point of view. We went to tell what we know is needed from the position of a family member. We had people presenting what was needed from a legal perspective. We gave written documentation. Communities United Against Police Brutality really took the lead on that.
And there's the cops right there. They're like, oh my gosh. Then this one lady, she hits the car with her baton. Look. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to hit it with my baton.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was looking around. They just seemed to stop. Everybody was kind of facing the same way for a little bit. Yeah. I don't know what building this is.
So they go from one car to the next, just beating these cars to pulps and then setting them all on fire. This is the second car they go. They go down the whole row, like 6 cars. Where are the cops? There were about 10 cops down there. There was 10 cops down there, and where did they go? Where did they go? They didn't do anything. They know they all know. Oh, they're afraid of us. We don't have to leave. We don't have to run. They're not coming after us. Let's just keep... if those cops would have just got together, pulled their guns out, told them all to get on the floor. I don't know. There's a lot of them out there, but if they would have done something, if the cops are fearing for their life, then that's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. You just got to... But you can't back down. You got to have some kind of plan here. You got to have some kind of plan. Otherwise, this just keeps going on and on. I mean, so they've got 4 cars here totally destroyed. They're going to go down another 2 or 3 cars. The helicopter guy doesn't even want to show the cops on camera. I think he feels embarrassed. He doesn't want to pan back out because obviously that looks terrible that these guys are cowering in fear. I don't know. They probably ran away. I think the cops probably just ran away. Because these guys just keep walking down to the next car. And this guy, they're just going around popping the tires. See this guy right here? He's just popping the tires. He knows the cops. He knows there's a eye in the sky up there. He doesn't care. He's got a mask on. He doesn't think he'll be identified. He's got a mask. So, where are the cops? Were those cops up there by the other car? Let's see. No. See how the looters are all the way up there to the top of those cars. The cops were right there. They backed off. They backed all the way off. Let's see if I can see them. Yeah, they're not even anywhere to be seen. They literally just ran away. This is why they need the National Guard out there, because the cops are afraid. They're literally afraid. Look at it, taking selfies on top of the car. Look at me. Here's my gang sign. Here's Mr. Captain, Chief Police Officer, popping tires with his...
Section's losing momentum.
People just started to pour onto the Vine Street Expressway around Philadelphia. Police officers, state troopers then were called in and deployed tear gas, and that is what got people to quickly disperse to get out of there. There are perhaps 24, maybe more people that were arrested in all of this, detained. They're being searched at this moment. Again, this video is from earlier of those protesters going on to the Vine Street Expressway, and that is the fence I was talking about. 3 links of that fence, 3 sections were taken out to get those protesters onto the Vine Street Expressway. Until this point, throughout most of the day, these protesters were walking peacefully through the city. And Philadelphia police officers, many of them on bicycles, were riding along with them, letting them express their right to protest. But as soon
that barricade. This is exactly sort of the role when it comes to, you know, who's in charge, who's providing the support. Looks like the crowd is just standing there, making their points, and non-violently, of course.
Yeah, let's hope it absolutely remains this way. Again, we are about 15 minutes away now from a citywide curfew. Only people with essential business are supposed to be out. Again, you see the National Guard there backing up the Philadelphia Police Department. Not as many protesters in this area, a relatively small group, but we have seen them, and over the weekend it was the same, spread out in different areas. And that's one of the most frustrating and confusing parts of all this chaos is there are so many different groups. There are multiple peaceful groups who are organizing amongst themselves, and they plan different protests and demonstrations. And then you have other multiple actors, bad actors, I think many people would call them, who have come out with different intentions and are causing trouble in different areas. So it's difficult at points to recognize who we're actually looking at. We assume these people on their knees with their hands up, they seem relatively peaceful. The large peaceful protests we've seen, a lot of people have signs. They come with banners and signs because they have a message, an actual message they want to share with folks. And that seems to be one of the ways we can tell to a point what the intentions are. But right now, you see a lot of hands up. You see people on their knees, socially distancing, somewhat encouraging, and peaceful from what we're looking at right now.
You know, just looking at this crowd, they are, you know, as you mentioned, you know, hands are up, and that's what they're trying to say. And almost everyone is white in this group. Yeah. Right here. Just saying. I mean, that is something to point out here. As you take a look, they're sort of facing off, non-violently squaring off with police, as the police patiently stand there behind that barricade. And you can see there, everybody's just sort of standing around. And you know, I don't think this is going to escalate at all. At least that's what it seems. It doesn't even look like anybody is shouting or saying anything to Philadelphia police officers from this area. As you see other people just walking by, and this might be just what we see here for the next several minutes.
And it feels strange to even notice that, or to point out the race of many of the folks we're seeing here. We have seen a lot of younger white folks out here demonstrating, and that's not to say that anyone can or shouldn't be out there protesting and saying Black Lives Matter. But we've heard from Philadelphia's police commissioner said over the weekend she saw a lot of people out there, and she said they didn't look like me. Being a black woman, that's what she meant. And we have had a lot of people noticing that, because there are some folks who may be coming from outside of the city, from the suburbs, from different states entirely. Not everyone. Of course, there are plenty of people who have been participating in these demonstrations, peacefully and otherwise, who are indeed, of course, from Philadelphia. But it's important to note that there are so many different groups of people here with different intentions, with different messages, some probably all for good reason, but it's the small minority, the people who are there to cause some destruction, who unfortunately have the loudest voices sometimes, and unfortunately we just notice the destruction they cause more so than the people who are peacefully.
Yeah, and Shane, I was just going to add that, just while we're talking, it's just, it's good to see that the crowd's dispersing. So here, just the last minute or two, most of the folks have begun to walk away here. So it's de-escalating. Didn't seem to be any issue in the first place. But we continue to follow this here with Skyfox above the center city of Philadelphia as we approach what is this day 3 of the unrest throughout our city. We'll be right back here on Fox 29.
Shayna Humphreys, Jason Martinez, Fox 29 News.
Huh? I'm just hungry. Oh, I got to tell you. I also met somebody that is in the fashion or some shit. Huh? You have my phone, but she took mine down. She a cutie too. We taking the shortcut. Hey, we taking the shortcut. We cheating.
Up in the air, you see some of them, looks like they're kneeling.
Yeah, they're screaming, "Don't shoot." They've got their hands in the air, all of them kneeling. And again, this is a 22nd of the Parkway here. So again, as you mentioned a moment ago, that there are cars still trying to get through this area that are not able to right now. So folks trying to get through Center City, this is not a good area to be if you are about to head outside. Again, you can see the line of police officers there with their bikes trying to block anyone from getting through toward that entrance to the Vine Street Expressway, as we saw earlier. But right now, they are all kneeling, and what we have seen so far here, everything pretty peaceful, with the exception of a couple bottles thrown at police and words exchanged.
And we heard, Matt, earlier today from George Floyd's
but
brother.
They are blocking traffic.
Sorry to talk over you, Matt. I know it's noisy. We heard earlier today, right, Aaron, from George Floyd's brother, who appealed to everyone to remain peaceful, that's what his brother would have wanted and was about, appealing to everyone not to turn to looting and violence that we've seen over the weekend.
Yeah, we had video of his brother at the memorial there in Minneapolis, where George Floyd died, and was very emotional and saying that his brother wouldn't have wanted this. Let's do this in a peaceful way. Let's not let the violence distract from the message, take away from the message in any way. At this particular moment in time from Skyforce 10, you can see the peaceful protest, people on their knees, people with their hands in the air saying, hands up, don't shoot. And you can see the line of Philadelphia police officers who are just holding the line. Again, this is very, very close to the Vine Street Expressway, where protesters have made their way onto the expressway earlier. They've since been pushed back, and officers just trying to make sure that this group doesn't get back on to the expressway. You know, a delicate balance between letting people peacefully protest and you know, dealing with traffic concerns. There are people that are trying to get around, cars that are trying to get around this group, get through.
And as we approach the 6 o'clock hour, we're just, you know, less than 10 minutes away from this citywide curfew for the third night in a row. As I was walking around parts of Old City today, you could feel the concern about what would tonight bring. More and more businesses boarding up, just to be cautious, not just in Center City and along Walnut and Chestnut, which was hit so hard by looters on Saturday night, but other parts of the city, including, in fact, the Museum of the American Revolution was boarding up its doors and its windows, in a bit of irony there, to protect that building. There you see their arms in the air. As Matt's been telling us, they've been chanting, hands up, don't shoot. I think they're saying George Floyd's name now.
It says it was at least 2,000.
His brother earlier today asking everyone to remember his brother's name. This on a day, Aaron, I saw from NBC News that it has come out that the body cameras on the other officers, on the officers involved in the arrest of George Floyd, that those body cameras were not operating in Minneapolis. Of course, we know the officer who had his knee on George Floyd's neck for a period of about 8 minutes has been charged with third-degree murder. No other charges forthcoming yet against any of the other officers who were standing around, who were in that area with the officer Chauvin. But the head of the Minneapolis Police Department also is gone. He was to retire not too far in the distance in the future, but he is now no longer heading up the department. That development today as well.
A lot of people chanting George Floyd's name there, but also holding signs from other incidents that we've seen across this country. Breonna Taylor, we've seen her name on a lot of these signs down there. Ahmaud Arbery, we've seen his name on a lot of the signs down there. And we've also seen similar protests like this playing out all over the country. In Atlanta, in D.C., in New York, in L.A., Salt Lake City, Utah. We have seen the death of George Floyd really have a ripple effect and really resonate with people after watching that video. It's something, once you see it, you know, it affects you. And, you know, it's something that you can't unsee. And it is reignited when we talk about race in this country. A conversation that hasn't gone away, but really in the context of, you know, feelings that have been bubbling up on top of this coronavirus, COVID-19 that we're dealing with. People have a lot on their minds. People are dealing with a lot at this time.
Just a little bit
and we've heard it over and over
right
again.
Here.
This death of George Floyd just may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of people are hurting for a myriad of reasons. And we're seeing people right now, 5:57 on a Monday afternoon in Philadelphia, on their knees, hands up, saying George Floyd's name, saying don't shoot, holding signs that say Black Lives Matter. And we should note that many of the people in this crowd, this is a very diverse crowd of people, a very diverse crowd of people, and that needs to be part of the conversation as well.
You know, Aaron, yesterday I was in Center City reporting live, and there was a family that was leaving on Walnut Street, a family of four, a mother and a husband and wife and their two young boys, African-American family, and they live in the building that's just adjacent to the Vans building that went up in flames on Saturday night. And they have these two very young boys. I think they were around 4 and 6, 5 and 8, something like that. And she said to me, I just don't feel safe here with my family, and we're going to go spend the night somewhere else. But she also talked about she doesn't know what to tell her boys and how difficult the conversation this is, what to tell them about the looting, what to tell them about the protests. And that's a concern that she shared with me, how difficult it is for parents, especially African-American parents right now with young children, how to have that conversation.
Yeah. I'm the mother of a 5-year-old little black boy who asked me yesterday, Mommy, what's looting? And, you know, it's a conversation that kind of takes you into the rabbit hole, okay? So, you know, you explain what looting is, but then, well, why are they doing it? Why are they angry? And that's a conversation that, you know, you're just not prepared to have with a 5-year-old.
Interesting, though, that he asked you that question, what is looting?
Yeah, he heard me say it. He saw images, and he didn't understand it. And frankly, Jim, you know, when we saw that video over the weekend, you know, as an adult, we didn't understand it. You know, it's very difficult to see that in our city, in our community. And I just, you know, as a mom, I was not prepared to have a conversation with a 5-year-old, or a larger conversation about why people were angry and why this happened. And so it has sparked emotions in so many parents and so many people.
Oh, okay.
And the people that were watching right here on their knees, who are peaceful at this moment, peacefully protesting, chanting here in front of officers. But the range of emotions that people are feeling,
okay, on the way.
It's heavy.
It is 6 o'clock, Aaron, top of the hour. This is the hour at which the city has imposed a citywide curfew.
NBC 10 breaking news.
If you're just joining us here on NBC 10 at 6 p.m., you're looking at video from earlier from Skyforce 10 of what was a peaceful protest that wound its way through the streets of Philadelphia, including around the police department and Independence Mall, back through the streets to the Ben Franklin Parkway. Then the protesters spilled down onto the Vine Street Expressway, which is what you're looking at here. This is from about 35 minutes ago, when the protesters stopped traffic in both directions on the Vine, which has created not only traffic issues, but a number of these protesters were also detained and arrested. And they have since been moved by law enforcement off the Vine Street Expressway. NBC 10's Keith Jones just texted me that one lane of 676 westbound is now moving again. But this is the moment at which the protesters breached that fence and made their way down onto the expressway. We then saw officers utilizing tear gas to try to disperse them, to get them off the roadway, this major artery in and out of Philadelphia. And they were forced up onto this steep embankment by that tear gas. Many of them were on bicycles. Some of them were the Indigo rental bicycles. They could not make their way up that steep embankment. You see some of them coming back down.
We are unsure whether he'll be allowed to speak, but they told us they wanted him to hear their message before allowing him to take take the microphone. Now, the message that we have heard loud and clear is they want to see all 4 officers involved in this to be arrested. They also said that they not only don't have faith in the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, but they don't believe that Attorney General Keith Ellison is the correct person to prosecute this case. They say they don't have faith in him as well, so they are asking for a special prosecutor to take the case. You can see just how many people are here. This block is packed from Victoria down to Lexington. That's how far the road has been closed. St. Paul police keeping an eye out. And I want to show you what happened earlier. As
City
they
Hall,
waited down at the end of the block,
around the
there was an
police
emotional
department. Really for the majority of the day, peacefully protesting, walking through the streets of Center City, thousands of people, and Philadelphia police officers on bikes allowing them to protest, riding alongside them, until we got to that incident you were talking about on 676. NBC 10's Keith Jones is live near this area right now. Keith, tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're at 21st and Winter, looking down right now at the Vine Street Expressway. You see about 5 more protesters who have their hands behind their back. They're cuffed behind them. You see a number of SWAT team members. They're loading them slowly but surely into this Philadelphia Sheriff's Office bus. You might also see on the right side of our screen 1 lane of traffic getting by on the Vine Street Expressway. And you know what? Look at this. You got 1 bus leaving, another one about to pull in to transport presumably the other 5 or not. That one's leaving as well, but the eastbound side still shut down. This was an area, by the way, just beneath us on the Vine Street Expressway where state police, Philadelphia police, they used tear gas to disperse a large organized crowd of, God, had to be about 1,000 people or so. Once they dispersed, they jumped up on the Ben Franklin Parkway where you've seen those live pictures where they've since reorganized. But you're taking a live look down along the barrier here separating 676. It actually looks like traffic is stopped on the westbound side. They must be diverting it elsewhere once you get off the Ben Franklin Bridge, unless the Ben Franklin Bridge is also closed. I can't see from this vantage point. We've been moving with protesters. For the large part, they've been peaceful. I say for the large part, you know, our group got caught up walking with them, and we ended up getting pounced on. I ended up getting punched in the back, but I'm all right. We're all good. It's just part of serving you with good quality information. So you're looking down right now about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what? 6, 7 protesters that are still down there. At one point there were what, Manny? Probably 2 dozen, 3 dozen. Right. So they've since transported those people. And again, these people, talking for the most part, younger, probably in their teens, 20s, maybe 30s, holding signs right now, sitting down on the parkway. Police aren't attempting to move them at the moment, at least from what I can gather. I think Matt DeLucia may have a better look at that scene. But in the meantime, I'll send it back to you. I'm going to keep my eyes on the Vine Street Expressway, however.
Keith, really quickly, it looks like we've had at least 2 of those sheriff's buses pull out of there. I think we saw one earlier, and then we saw at least 1, maybe 2, while you were just talking.
Yeah, there's actually one in the distance, too. Manny, pan up all the way on the left side. There's one waiting there. I don't know if there are any protesters there. Oh, you know what? This might be a good indication here, Manny. They're moving 2, 3, 4 of these protesters, perhaps in the back of this SUV, or maybe they're walking them all the way to that bus on the end. And again, just to bring you up to speed here, a couple hours ago, a lot of these people were out at City Hall. That's where we were set up until they started moving down Spring Street and then found their way onto the expressway here. It's where they shut it down. Shortly after that, I'd say within 15, 20 minutes, law enforcement ended up hitting them with tear gas. And that's when they started dispersing. They made some arrests, and we're seeing the end of that right now. At one point, there were probably 2 or 3 dozen protesters that were right in the median. You know, we got an arrest right here behind us here, Manny. Let's turn around. Gentleman wearing a Brian Dawkins jersey going into the back of a police van with the hands cuffed behind their back. But again, you know, we're still right in the middle of where all these protesters are. Some stragglers just coming off of Ben Franklin Parkway. So
Keith, we want to get another vantage point here as we see this arrest happening in front of you. Let's go to Matt DeLucia, who is with the larger group where they're on their knees with their hands up. Matt, what are you seeing?
Yeah. And Jim, we're at 22nd and the Parkway right now, where there is a large group of people here. They've been here for a little while. Some of them, as you've heard, tried to get onto the Vine Street Expressway. They were a bit successful in the beginning, but police were able to quickly clear that area. Now you see a large group here now moving past 22nd Street onto the Ben Franklin Parkway. Police have been pushing everyone back with their bicycles. Over here, you can see some of those officers who are right there with that line of bikes. As you mentioned a few minutes ago, we saw people on their knees chanting, "Don't shoot." They had their hands in the air. Earlier, we did see some skirmishes with police, people throwing bottles, people exchanging words, but other than that, so far everything has been rather peaceful. Now, when they did go on to the Vine Street Expressway, there was some tear gas, and the police were doing their best to just disperse the crowd. Right down here toward where my finger is pointed down there, that is the overpass over the Vine Street Expressway, and there's a large number of police with their cars that are down there right now, just making sure that none of these protesters get back into that area and get back onto the Vine and interrupt traffic. So again, you see the bike cops here with their line, and a lot of the protesters have now begun to disperse. They were, I would say, at least 100 in this area just a few moments ago when you came to me, and now they have all started to walk away. They've got up and started to leave this area. Over here, you can see that traffic is still trying to make its way through here on the Parkway. The outer lanes here still open. We did see some of the protesters blocking the inner lanes for a little while as they were making their way up from the City Hall area toward this spot here at 22nd and the Parkway. But at this point, you can see that they are now starting to head in the opposite direction, heading back toward City Hall, toward that Love Park area in the middle of the Parkway. So again, cars are not really going to be able to get through, as I'm sure Sheila Wacko has been watching for traffic here. So you see some of these protesters with their bikes blocking the lanes here so that nobody can get through toward City Hall area. But again, some of these cars are trying to get around as best as they can because, I mean, you still have people who are coming from work, from their essential jobs. That curfew is in effect, but there is still a large number of people who are still out here right now, and the cops are just trying to keep the peace and try to keep these folks from heading back toward the Vine Street Expressway and prevent them from getting back onto the highway. So we're continuing to monitor this out here. I know Keith have been talking about some arrests in his area.
Yeah, Matt, as you're talking, we have a live shot from Skyforce 10. We're seeing a lot of the people move away from your area back down the Ben Franklin Parkway. I'm curious to know if any, you mentioned the citywide curfew. We mentioned at the top of this hour, it is 6:09, so 9 minutes past this curfew. I'm curious to know, are police officers that are on those bikes, are they saying anything to the protesters? Does it look like people are moving with purpose to go home?
People are having conversations with them, but it does not appear that they are shouting anything about going home. Occasionally a police car tries to get through here. They'll use the megaphone telling people to move out of the way, but other than that, we have not seen any direct announcement for everyone to get out of the area and go home because of the curfew. But you see that there is a long line of these police officers here with their bikes, just making sure, and this is going all the way around. You might be able to see by Parktown Place to make sure that no one gets around this area to get toward that overpass and get onto 676 again. So when you came to me just a few minutes ago, you could tell that this area was packed with folks who were protesting, holding signs, chanting. They were kneeling for a little while. Now a lot of them have left this area, but there are still people on their bikes blocking the Ben Franklin Parkway to make sure that all those protesters have a safe passage back toward City Hall area, Love Park. That is where they're heading right now, and I'd say that they're probably, some of them are probably at that spot at this moment here because a lot of them have dispersed and left this area. But we did see the tear gas a little bit earlier, a little over an hour ago, and that was to try to get everyone off of 676 because you have moving traffic in that area. You don't want anyone to get hit by their car, so the police have been working to try to make sure that no one gets into that area. We saw Pennsylvania State Police also as well trying to keep keep everyone off the highway. So right now, police just guarding the area. You see there's a large number of police cars, some of them with the flashing lights over there in that overpass. Again, just trying to keep a barricade and make sure that no one gets on to that highway. Now we are seeing some more police trying to clear those folks on the bikes. We're seeing a large number of police vehicles now make their way up 22nd Street.
I'm not sure if we could take your shot.
I think you might be able to see.
And as they make their way towards whatever it may be, Love Park City Hall, that, as we know, is a place of heavy law enforcement presence from the National Guard that's in Philadelphia now, helping out with law enforcement and protecting some of our main infrastructure and key buildings like City Hall and the municipal building. We did get some information from Pennsylvania State Police telling us why it was that they did deploy that tear gas. Just want to share that with you. State Police saying that troopers on foot deployed that gas after people in the crowd began pelting them with rocks and bottles. So that was earlier. You saw that play out live here on NBC 10. We saw those tear gas canisters being deployed, which dispersed the crowd and sent them up that steep embankment to get off 676. Once again, that roadway, that is closed right now. The Ben Franklin Bridge closed right now to traffic. A citywide curfew is in effect beginning at 6 p.m.
And you continue to see people walking down the Ben Franklin Parkway. This crowd, as large as it is, as many people who are here, is much smaller than what we saw earlier. Thousands and thousands of people this afternoon in the 3 o'clock hour going all around the city of Philadelphia, starting at City Hall, going down to Old City, coming back around again, going up the Ben Franklin Parkway, and you can see them here making their way down again. I'm being told in 2 minutes, the President of the United States, Jim, is going to be speaking as well, as we continue to watch these protesters walking right down the street. There's the shot right there, the podium at the Rose Garden. So, of course, we will take those comments live. President Trump going to be addressing the nation from the Rose Garden in a matter of minutes.
We had heard earlier today about the president's telephone conversation with some of the state governors, and it was at times, as we understand it, a heated conversation. The president rather, urging the governors to take stronger stances in their cities, in their states, in their major cities. Some of the governors pushing back. So we will await the president's remarks. We'll bring those to you as we watch live from Skyforce 10, this group of demonstrators making their way back down the Ben Franklin Parkway after closing the Vine Street Expressway to traffic for a time, dispersed by law enforcement.
Many of these folks have been at it for hours. For hours now, more than 3 hours, we have been following this crowd. Skyforce 10 has been on the air keeping you updated, and so have we as we followed the protest that really started out very peacefully. We had that incident along the Vine Street Expressway, and now it appears a lot of people going back down by the Logan Hotel there. This is another view from right outside City Hall there. You can see, if you look closely, you can see the officers there, Philadelphia police officers. Behind those officers, members of the National Guard who arrived here in Philadelphia overnight about 1 o'clock this morning. That is when the National Guard, we had been told that the police commissioner had requested help from the National Guard. They arrived in the city at 1 o'clock this morning or thereabout. And they have been really around that area. The Frank Rizzo statue is on the upper left-hand side of your screen. And they've really been, she said, not protecting the statue. She said their presence there is not about that statue. It is about the municipal building and all the services that need to continue in that building. And so they are really deployed at different city buildings, historic sites in the area to protect them, to make sure that those stay sound as protesters, demonstrators continue to make their way around the city today.
mayor saying this weekend he wants to see that statue moved. He plans to have that done, but it's been complicated because of the way the statue is constructed and reinforced through the steps there down into the concourse, which is key infrastructure, and because of that, it's complicated the effort to move the statue of the mayor, whom he said he doesn't believe should be honored with that statue, a racially divisive time in our history. So we're just hearing that President Trump, who was expected to deliver some remarks in the Rose Garden, is running a little bit behind schedule. There we see the live shot of the podium. And of course, we're awaiting his arrival there in the Rose Garden to address reporters who are gathered there. We'll bring that to you, but we're told he's running a little bit behind.
A little earlier today, Mayor Jim Kenney, during a news conference, made it a point to say that he was really disappointed in people who did not follow the curfew over the past 2 days. Again, this is day 3 of a citywide curfew that just went into effect 17 minutes ago. So all non-essential personnel are supposed to be at home at this point. And he said he was very disappointed. It was mostly young people, and we heard that from NBC 10's Keith Jones to many young people in the crowd. But he said mostly young people were not adhering to the curfew. And now we've got this curfew in effect, and it does not appear that this crowd is dispersing or is in any urgency to get home and adhere to that curfew. Just hearing from my producer that President Trump will be making his remarks from the Rose Garden. You saw the video from the podium there a moment ago at 6:30. So in about 10 minutes or so, we should be hearing from the President of the United States his remarks.
This is a shot from Skyforce 10. It's live pictures as this crowd seems to be heading towards City Hall, where they're going to encounter a strong show of law enforcement that's there to protect City Hall. We know over the weekend that was also the scene of demonstrations that also turned destructive, as the Starbucks kiosk that's there on the plaza was set afire and burned. There was a strong police presence over the weekend. We now have the National Guard here to protect these important buildings, as you mentioned, Aaron. But that's where they seem to be headed right now. What will happen at that point, we'll have to see. But as you've been mentioning, as we've been saying, there's a citywide curfew that's in effect, which began at 6 p.m.
SEPTA service, for the most part, too, has been shut down since noon. So for most of the day, city leaders have been preparing for what they called anticipated protests. Again, this was earlier in the day. They were anticipating that they would have protests. And in fact, that is what we saw at about in the 3 o'clock hour this afternoon. More than 3 hours ago, these protesters have been on the move, literally all over the city, and now walking down the Ben Franklin Parkway, presumably to the City Hall area. Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, the Philadelphia Police Commissioner, was talking about her response earlier to a lot of the events that happened over the weekend, the looting and the vandalism, saying that the police department is having to adapt. They're having to adapt to this crowd. And in some cases, when situations turned violent, she's saying a lot of these groups are using technology, using go dark, in her words, and it's a coordinated effort, and they are trying to adapt to be able to keep everyone safe, keep businesses safe, so that things do not get under control. But she acknowledged that they could have done better initially, and she said, you know, what you're seeing play out across the country is like nothing that they've ever seen. Police departments, law enforcement has ever seen.
She said over the weekend, you know, they didn't have sort of the bandwidth, if you will, to be everywhere where things were getting out of hand, because they did need to protect places like City Hall and They also had to deal with scheduling and get people in who were scheduled off and that kind of thing. And she did admit we could have done a better job at that, but we also didn't have the manpower that we need and now have from state police and from the National Guard. Let's go to NBC 10's Lauren Make, who is near City Hall where these protesters are making their way. Lauren.
Hey, Jim. Yeah, we are at 15th and JFK right now, and we got here just a little bit before these protesters arrived. You can see them coming in. They have their hands up. They're chanting, "Don't shoot." And you can see them sort of streaming in from the Ben Franklin Parkway. Just before they arrived, we saw a group of officers who had been over at City Hall start to come across the street, told one guy, go home. Of course, as you know, this is now beyond the point of the curfew here in the city that started at 6 o'clock when people were supposed to go home. Obviously, that is not happening, and folks are just moving to another location. Our colleague Matt DeLucia saw them down on the Ben Franklin Parkway, and now you see them moving toward City Hall. At this point, just walking and chanting with their hands up. At this point, just peaceful walking towards City Hall. They're crossing in front of City Hall. It's not clear whether they're going to stop at it or circle it. But we are sort of towards the front of this and along the edges so that we can show you as they're arriving here. And if you could swing over, you can see the police officers and the National Guard who are behind them in a line there along. They've been waiting in this area for hours, lined up here, the National Guard vehicles behind them. And then they have been waiting as these protesters now beginning to stream into the area towards City Hall.
Day 3, Lauren Make, you've been out there through these daily demonstrations and seeing the aftermath in the heart of our city over the weekend, and talking to merchants, shop owners about having to clean up after looters moved through on Saturday. Talk to us a little bit about that mood, what you've been hearing from the people whose businesses have been destroyed, not by necessarily this group we're looking at here, but by others.
Certainly, you know, Jim, several of them that I talked to say we understand the larger mission. We understand what people are protesting about, but when it gets into looting, that's where it becomes a problem. That's where it costs them money. That's where it causes them to not be able to open when they want to open and not be able to bring people back to work. I talked to one business owner today who also talked about the uncertainty now. He's boarded up his business, and he doesn't know when it's going to be safe to take those boards down again. Because he doesn't know what's going to happen next, quite frankly. And that's why you see the large police presence out here as well, just prepared for whatever might happen, and these business owners not knowing what's going to happen either, and so preparing the best they can by boarding up. It's not like a hurricane or a tropical storm where you know when you can take them down. They don't know what's going to happen. So some people getting a little aggressive, as you can see, Jim.
We apologize for the language there. Yes. Yeah, when you drive or walk down some of these main shopping districts now, shopping streets in Center City, Chestnut, Walnut, it's shop after shop, store after storefront boarded up, including places like pharmacies where people need essential items, convenience stores, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you and I talked about that yesterday, Jim, and I'll tell you, I ran into somebody else today, a woman in her 70s, who said she has some prescriptions she needed to pick up. She said she has 6 CVS pharmacies within walking distance of her, and all of them are closed. And so she was trying to figure out, should she go to South Philly? Should she, where should she go to pick them up? So these are just the trickle-down effects of what's happening here. And as you're looking, you can see this crowd continues to come. We might be seeing the end of it. Nope, we're not. That was just a break in the crowd. I was trying to see
we're actually looking at Skyforce 10,
but it doesn't look like it.
We're above you, Lauren, Skyforce 10 above Billy Penn there, and on top of City Hall. We saw them entering Love Park and the iconic Love statue there.
Also, Lauren, a little earlier.
They are still coming past that now.
Lauren, a little earlier, it was difficult for us to hear, but did you say that officers telling people, reminding them of this curfew that went into effect at 6 o'clock? It's well past 6 o'clock at this point. It was difficult to hear you, but want to see if that message is getting across, because this crowd is walking past City Hall, it looks like now.
Yeah, Aaron, that is the first time that I've seen an officer tell anyone to go home. But yeah, there are a couple of officers right before this crowd arrived. A crowd of officers came from City Hall, started to walk across the street, encountered a gentleman and told him to go home. And we weren't sure whether they were going to, they started heading toward Love Park. We weren't sure if they were going to go in there and start telling people, okay, it's time to go home. And just at that moment, the protesters who had been on the Parkway arrived here at City Hall, and so that sort of became the focus, and we're not sure where those officers ended up. But yeah, that's the first time that we had seen that. We don't know whether something else transpired between them, but we did hear them tell him to go home. And you can see the folks with their signs still streaming in from the Parkway towards City Hall, and I'm looking at where they are going now, and it looks like, guys, that they're going down around City Hall. We weren't sure whether they were going to try to go on the property there and stand in front of it, but it looks like they are going around City Hall. We'll be watching to see if they swing around here on Broad Street, because we've got a view of that as well. But right now they look like they are going
as well, Lauren, and obviously they're defying the 6 p.m. curfew. We will keep an eye on them from above as we've watched them. About an hour ago was the most sort of confrontational moment when these groups of demonstrators made their way onto the Vine Street Expressway and shut down traffic, and law enforcement, Pennsylvania State Police, saying they needed to use tear gas because objects were being thrown at them. Want to just mention that I misspoke earlier when I said the body cams were not working on the officers in Minneapolis. In fact, that was from a deadly police-involved shooting in Louisville early today, so I apologize for that. But as we continue to watch live overhead, right over City Hall, traffic moving on the left of your screen, but most of Center City traffic is ground to a halt because of these demonstrations, which have been going on for several hours now here in and around the streets of Philadelphia.
Jim, looks like they're circling City Hall, if I'm correct. They've come down the Ben Franklin Parkway, made all the way around. It looks like they're circling City Hall and coming back around at this point. Not sure. You mentioned it's after the curfew. Not sure where this crowd is going, but they are still holding intact.
Once again,
Aaron, as I'm looking at things, it looks like we're nearing the end of the protesters that had come in through Love Park.
I was just going to say, Lauren, once again, we're awaiting word from the president. He is expected to address the nation from the Rose Garden. NBC Nightly News is coming your way next. We will be back with more news live here on NBC 10 at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. We'll see you then. Here's Lester Holt.
Has remained largely out of sight during all of this, but he's expected to speak any minute now, and we will bring it to you live when it begins. Well, we are going to go back out to Shamari, who is near Lafayette Square.
I don't know if throwing stuff is the best idea, but let's hope everything stays safe.
I also saw in this protest, I saw a generation that wasn't going to accept this bullshit. I saw a generation of young people who don't care about curfews, but they care about justice. I'm going to let you know, no matter what excuses they tell us, history reminds us when we are together, when we are united, we can defeat them. When we are united, we can defeat them. And I'm going to tell you right now, the other hard truth we have to accept is America has become addicted to violence. We have become a nation addicted to violence. We only know how to export violence. We only know how to occupy people, poor people in this country. I want you to see what's happening in this country. You see military men, people with AR-15s coming in front of this mansion, not a single police officer there. When we show up, we got tanks. But one thing you have to understand, the power of the people is us. And when we are united, we can win. This country is guilty of genocide of Native Americans. This country is guilty of slavery. This country is guilty of mass incarceration. This country is guilty, even today, in this pandemic, they are denying health care to Americans, but they rather send military aid to the rest of the world. In this moment, when we are shocked, when we are scared, when we are vulnerable, when our emotions are running, in this moment we have to make a promise. I don't mean a Facebook fake promise. I'm talking about a real promise. That's right. The kind of promise that our generations before us did to bring justice to this land in the civil rights movement. Yeah. They did not give up. They stood in front of, just like we are today, in front of a military. They were facing hoes and they were facing military. But they did not give up. They marched from city to city. They bonded from city to city and they demanded justice. Now it's our time. This moment is our moment. We're gonna get justice. We are going to get justice. God already freed us a little bit from freedom. We're free a little bit from freedom. But I'm going to tell you something. If you think Freeman is bad, you elected him in. If you think Freeman is bad, you put him in office. You looked in there and bubbled his ass in. That is you. But the problem is this, you now awaken. You are awakened. You see the truth. This is the time to make the change that is necessary to be so that we can see true justice in this land. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have two requests from you. Two requests from you. Number one, I want you to have some faith. Because I believe we are going to win. I believe as the world is burning today, we are going to win. We are going to win. We are going to win. Say it with me. You are going to win. We 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 are going to win. And how are we going to win? It's when we dismantle this system from the police officer to the prosecutor and to the laws of oppression that are on the books. We are going to change the system, and we're going to change the system when we free the black men in prison right now. That are separated from their families. And we are going to do that together. Not just this protest, we're going to do that together. And I'm going to tell all law enforcement, we are coming. We are coming. You saw in our community how we defended our homes this past 4 days. We saw how we came out and defended our communities. And the last point is, I personally believe in God. And so I am not going to give up because I know right now God is watching us. And I believe deep down in my heart we are demanding for the intervention of God. We are asking God to give us the strength, the moral courage. We're asking God to help us stand in front of military might. We're asking God to give us the sight to see justice. We're asking God to change this country for the betterment of generations that are yet to be born. We are asking God in this moment to get justice for George Floyd. Say his name. 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 George Floyd.
We have Black Lives Matter activist Trayvon Cruz. He organizes with me with Black Lives Matter Minnesota. I want to give a shout out to Black Lives Matter Twin Cities. Metro, also that. All right, Trayvon Cruz.
To put the water and the milk in their eyes to protect themselves. Again, you can see right over here, they have signs that read Black Lives Matter. The officers have moved up here. You can see the military police moved all the way up to the gate here at Lafayette Square. Over here, that is where the mounted patrols are and the police, and they moved back the protesters. Again, DC Mayor Muriel Bowser has enacted a 7 p.m. curfew. These protesters say that they don't care about that. They said that George Floyd didn't have a curfew, that George Floyd didn't get an opportunity to protest, and in their words, they say the Minneapolis police officers killed him, and they want to know why the other 3 officers have not been arrested. Again, right over here, you can see the protesters have put up their arms. They're basically trying to show that they are unarmed and that they're saying there is no reason for the police officers, in their words, to throw what they describe as incendiary devices at them. I'm going to continue to bring you updates, and as this becomes available, I will put it on my Twitter feed as well, at Shamari Stone, and on NBCWashington.com. I'll talk to you all later.
All right, Shamari, try to stay safe out there. Mark Seagraves, how are you holding up? You had the tear gas canister right next to you. You okay?
Yeah, we're good. You can take a look over here at the crowd, and this has come to a bit of a standoff now. You see the protesters here. They are standing their ground right there. If you look over to the left there, you'll see the multiple lines of police officers. I can tell you there's Arlington police here, there's Park police here. I see military police, at least 3 or 4 different rows of police officers. The smell of gas in the air is just thick. I mean, it just penetrates and burns inside your nose as you're standing out here. We've seen deployed smoke bombs. You just heard another flashbang that just went off. Police are pushing people back down H Street. They're pushing people back down on 15th Street. In every direction around the White House, they are dispersing the crowds. This is something that we have not seen previously until today. We have not seen these law enforcement officers leave the White House grounds and come out to try to disperse the crowd, but that's exactly what's happening right now. It is a bit of a standoff, but every time the police deploy one of their smoke bombs into the crowd, somebody picks it up and throws it back at police. Right now we can see that police are getting some instructions from their superiors. We don't know if they're planning on moving forward to further disperse the crowd or they're going to stand off like this for a while. But if you look back over at the crowd, there are still hundreds of people here holding their hands up saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot," over and over, facing off with these police officers. Some of them are getting right up in their faces. So far, it's tense, it's violent. We haven't seen any serious injuries or confrontations other than the real pushback from police. That's the very latest down here.
All right, Mark Seagraves, stay safe. We'll come back to you soon. Now, here's Corey Smith. What's happening in your location, Corey?
Gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Between 2 police lines, and there are 3 total on the very far end of H Street where Seagraves is. You can see those mounted police.
Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, my first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun. Here in the nation's capital, the Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction. cooperation, not contempt, security, not anarchy, healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%, we will succeed. Our country always wins. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family. America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life. But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future. We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country. By far, our greatest days lie ahead. Thank you very much, and now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
Including the National Guard, who he says will dominate the streets. He is ordering, he's taking action to protect the nation's capital. He called what happened in our city last night a total disgrace, and he will bring thousands and thousands of National Guard troops into our city. very, we heard Mayor Bowser over the weekend express her disappointment with the president for what she called making the situation worse by making references to vicious dogs and also when the looting starts, the shooting starts. She felt that the president was making this worse, and I'm sure that she and some other. Many of our other local leaders were as disappointed as she probably is right now after hearing what the president has to say. We're going to go back out to Corey Smith now and get more about what is happening in our streets and the it seems a much more vigorous law enforcement response tonight. Corey, are you okay?
Yeah, Doreen, we're good. I think vigorous is the right word. I think aggressive might be the right word as well. But I'll tell you, everything you said in the lead up to coming out here to me is everything we've heard from the protesters out here calling for justice for George Floyd. As you can see, we are on the police line. This is Secret Service police. There are also some National Guardsmen behind them. There's basically just a bit of a meandering crowd that gets close to them, says something, and then backs off. I will say this, things have stopped being thrown, and we heard a lot from protesters yelling at whoever was throwing those things to stop, to keep it peaceful. But that was quickly followed by Secret Service police moving in. I was bum rushed myself. My cameraman was bum rushed as well, so we have pushed back down 8th Street, but we are trapped. There's a fire line, a police line behind me and a police line in front of me, so we're basically waiting to see who's going to make the next move here, but we'll do our best to bring it to you and try to stay safe at the same time. Back to you.
All right, Corey Smith, thank you. Stay safe, please. We're going now to Mark Seagraves, where things look pretty quiet, and right where you...
Black Lives Matter! 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 You in D.C. is 7 o'clock. They're gonna feel it at 7 o'clock. They're probably gonna try to put us in a corner of the police in front of us.
Get off this street. They are going to smash you between these cops and those cops. Go that way. Do not get stuck right here. There's nowhere to run. No justice! No peace! 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 No peace! No peace! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! How do we want it? Now! How do we want? Justice! How do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! How do we want it? Now! Justice!
Best friend!
Now!
Best friend!
Justice! Now! Justice! Now! You'll be safe! Thank
Hey, to the left. Hey, to the left. Well, let's pull it.
Everybody stick together. We gotta stick together. We have to stay together. They will not arrest a group. They won't arrest single people. Everybody stay together. Everybody stay together. Everybody, y'all keep right now. Stay together. They're not gonna arrest the people. They can't take us
Hey, how you doing, man? That's good, man. They made me work. I got hit by a rubber bullet, so wow. 3 games. I mean, that's I mean, that's way beyond. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So they wanted me to be rigged up.
So within the next minute we'll start firing?
I guess.
I just got the message, strange message, Trump is going to...
I'm live.
Trump is going to the church. Trump is going to St. John's Church.
What if we shoot? Can we see down 16th?
No, because they clear up to Red Street very aggressively, and there are forces over there.
Okay. It's risky business.
Shoot up! All right, Pops. Hey.
Look, bro, I just don't want to see nobody with a mason in their face. You don't have to stay here for me.
I'm live. No, I got to keep going. I know. Yeah. Cool. There's a line. These guys have been pushing slowly.
Yeah.
And when these guys push against them, they use tear gas.
Hey, like don't shoot us like these old ass.
Resistance becomes duty. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Thomas Jefferson, hands up,
Hey, hey, there's a rumor. Thank you. Hey, there's to St. John's. Okay, cool. No, just okay. Just let them know it's good. It's good.
You okay?
Yeah, I got two. I got three. I got 1, 2, and right there.
Oh,
not the stuff, but 2 inches from it.
Too close to it.
Yeah. Let me see that again. That looks nasty.
And then it deflected down and shit.
That's great. They're nasty things. Have you seen it afterwards?
Yeah, Jim showed me. But that's okay.
I'm live. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you're okay. That's kind of.
I'll put some ice on right now.
Yeah. It's going to hurt real bad. But you know what? It goes fast. After a good night's sleep, that was good.
Honestly, we could just go around the building.
You can't get hurt here. It's not worth it. Don't get nobody with these place like violence on us, bro. There's more to protest that way. Just go. There's hella blocks of protest.
You can still go to Lafayette Church. How can you? What's your fear? I know they're hurting. You don't want to teach them. Look at you. The only reason why I'm telling you to leave is so I can keep you safe. If I've already agreed to what I've agreed to and you still stay here, that is your personal safety. I've done everything I can do to make sure that you go home tonight. But just make sure you know that you are given the option to live and you do not.
We can come back tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, because we're going to keep coming back. And that's what we're going to do. Because until we don't have to do this anymore, we're going to be here. Because that's what we're here to do.
They're not saying we can't protest tomorrow. They're not saying we can't protest the next day. They're not saying we can't protest every fucking day for the rest of the fucking year until our lives are so held to an equal standard. They're not saying that. What they are saying is if you disobey, they will hurt you. And I'm trying to protect you.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't think we understand.
It is not about being scared, it's about being responsible. And the exact reason why this shit is getting as bad as it is because people like you do not control their emotions.
And you're the one yelling, you're not black. So
Black Lives Matter!
If you want to care about us,
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
If you want to care about us, listen to what the black people are saying.
Black Lives Matter!
Meydan okuması. Çünkü saat 7 itibariyle
Ancak devletin halkının bugünkü yürümesi bambaşka bir
Ayağımızı sonra
Time is now 7:08 p.m. You're in violation of the District of Columbia curfew. You make directed to dismiss. Evet, polise söylediği şey şu an saat sokağa çıkıyoruz. Eğer müdahale edeceğiz. Creo que son los del parque de Parque. ain't scared nobody. They're gonna wait, and then we're gonna go right back to them. Let him take his pictures, get his camera time.
Hey, Debbie, do you guys need this cover shot of St. John's, or is Trump? What's Trump doing right now?
We're gonna come back every day till we get justice.
Oh, is he at there?
Every
Is he
day.
there?
We will march every day. We will march for 100 years if we have to.
Do you need?
We get justice. All 4 men need to be charged in the murder and the killing of George Floyd. We want justice for George Floyd.
It's just, yeah.
All 4 men need to be held accountable.
I thought, guys, you're here
All of them.
to protect us from the enemy. Now we become the enemy? I thought you're here to protect us from the enemy, huh? Now we become the enemy.
You're called to protect and serve, not to kill.
I thought you served to protect us.
Hey, Debbie.
Is that
Who do we call? When we're in danger, who do we call? How do we feel safe?
Is that how you protect us?
How do we feel safe in this country?
I thought you joined
It is
to
your
protect
duty.
us.
It is your duty to serve and protect
Is that how you protect us? With guns? I thought you joined to protect us. Is that how you protect us? Oh, there is no answer.
Your silence is violence. No more lies.
I thought you're here to protect us from the enemy. Now we become the enemy. Oh, okay. You're very strong, by the way. Oh my God.
You can make a difference, but you don't want to. You have a platform. You can make a difference. You can kneel. Chief of police in other cities have kneeled with their citizens. Why can't you? Why can't you kneel with us? Kneel with us and we can go home in peace, everybody. But you don't want peace, you want war. Your president wants war.
You joined to protect us. Now you want to kill us? That's what you want to do? You want to kill us?
Fuck your president. Your racist ass president.
That's what you joined for?
They got money for war, but they don't got money for the poor, right? Who paid y'all to put money, food on the table for your family? Us, the taxpayers. We pay you. You're supposed to protect us. Too prideful to kneel. But the white man gonna fire you, right? This is fine.
Where we are right now is fine. Just please don't provoke them. It is okay if you want to protest. It is okay if you're angry. But please be peaceful. These people deserve to go home to their parents too.
We have been peaceful all day.
My bad,
We have been peaceful all day. We have been peaceful all day. They've been shooting rubber bullets, tear gas out of
Are they doing that right now? Are they doing that right now?
We have been peaceful for 400
Are these
years.
officers right here harming you in any way? Are these officers right here harming you in any way? These are human beings. So guess what? We're going to act like it. If you want them to respect you, you need to respect them.
I'm being peaceful.
They need to learn respect somewhere.
They don't respect human life.
Clearly they do. These men right here, these men and women right here do.
Kneel.
All they wanted you to do was listen.
Kneel. Kneel. That's what they need to do. Kneel. We have been kneeling for 400 years. Kneel.
I don't know. Okay,
Están pues Don't allow them to make arrests so they can get you. You guys are moving your own. They're going to move you, and it will get violent. No! Please back up. I'm asking you as nicely as I can. Stand. No, just keep moving. Keep moving. That way. We march. March. Washington tarihinde joke, man. Nothing fool. You know you all just said that
This is land of the free, home of the brave. 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 We will rise. We will see. We will rise. We will see. United, we stand.
George Floyd! 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 Fucking pussies! Fucking pussies!
Move back! Pussies! Move back! Move back!
Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back! Look, they arrested that man for what? Leave him alone. That's a good thing. That man was trying to fight a bunch of people. He's on fire. Yeah, that's a good thing. There's undercovers in the car too, so figure out what.
Oh, they definitely got undercovers in the crowd.
Yeah, they got undercovers in the crowd.
That nigga was blocking the whole ABC News camera. Let it be off.
By the way, I just want to remind you, you're not in Iraq, motherfucker. You are in the USA. You're not in Iraq. You fucking asshole. You're not in Iraq. You want to kill your own people, motherfucker. You're not in Iraq. I guess we are in Iraq because we have Saddam Hussein in the White House. We have Saddam Hussein in the White House. Fuck Trump! Fuck Trump! Fuck Trump! Fuck Saddam Hussein!
have killed that person. Or you can't say that that cop in Minneapolis should be prosecuted for murder. You won't say that. That's not crazy. It's like saying wear your fucking seatbelt. It's not crazy. Well, I hope you all do not support that shit.
Text me a message.
Hey, I just saw you. I thought you were down for the count. I think they made it sound like you were.
You know.
What happened?
You come right back, man. See rock up something robot.
How badly were you hurt?
You know, just hit here. Not bad. It was last night. It was big.
Yeah.
Contusion. I put ice on it. I slept for like 10 hours.
Good. Wow.
I was shocked because last night I couldn't walk. I couldn't put any weight on it.
Oh, that's scary.
I thought I was cooked. See you guys. Hey, George Greco. Hey, I'm sending in an esoteric bump shot for St. John's. An esoteric bump shot for St. John's. Is Trump still doing that, or is he gone? Useful for the others. Yeah, cool. Yep. Was his deal. Yeah. Okay, cool. With the church behind, But then would you like some more coverage similar to it? Okay, cool. Let me give you the full edit. Just gonna stretch it out for you, and then maybe I should take a break. I need to switch to nighttime goggles. I have sunglasses. I need to get the clear pair out of Kevin's locker, so I kind of have to need a break, do a bathroom break. So maybe this is the time to do it before they go to the next level. Yeah, maybe after I shoot all this military police stuff here. Yeah, just 20 minutes. I just need 20. I'm around the corner, so won't take long. Okay, thanks, George. I'll keep playing on this.
Protect us. Protect yourselves. Just love. Sick of this. I know y'all sick of this. The sooner y'all try to fix the problem, then all this, that'd be better.
Say his name!
George Floyd!
Say his name!
George Floyd!
Say his name!
George Floyd! 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 George Floyd!
Some water?
George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
You can't do shit with that.
George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! No peace! 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 No peace!
Thank you, folks. Appreciate the
You are my other me. Have I do harm to you? Have you harm to myself? Have I love and respect you? I love and respect myself. You are my other me. If I do harm to you, I do harm to myself. If I love and respect you, I love and respect myself. You are my other me. If I do harm to you, I do harm to myself. If I love and respect you, I love and respect myself.
Say his name!
George Floyd!
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 Killing all people for no reason. This is shit park police. You're not supposed to be here, nigga. What the fuck you supposed to be at, bro? At the park, bitch. This is the military police. He about his shit, boy. Get the fuck on, nigga. Get the fuck on. Get the fuck on, bro. Get the fuck on.
You guys are so much better than this. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
Look at you!
You're so bad!
Get him!
Standing here, do better! Do so much better! Do better! Do better!
Tell your I hope you don't got a black. Tell your man, because you're not going the right way. You're supposed to be out here with the people. Sitting here with these white people. I never hated you, bro. Not doing shit. But damn! Old head. Supposed to be out here showing the young niggas how it's supposed to be done. Nah, you and I'll be out here with the white people. Stopping what the fuck going on. You're standing for justice. Out here behind them gates, I'm not doing shit for real. Not doing shit for you people. Come on, bro. Goofy. You goofy as shit. Real live, OG. Goofy. That's all I gotta say, man.
At least change this man's shield, bro.
Talk your shit.
At least change the man's shield, bro.
Why you supposed to get an OG, man? I'm praying for you, big brother. I'm pray for you, big bro.
تغطيته لا شك أن هناك أعمال شر تحصل ويتم استغلال هذه القنوات.
You weird, nigga, shut up. Shut your ass up.
Now you're
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Stop. He shouldn't be talking, but yet he is. So we don't care about his orders. You don't care about the orders the white man gave you. You don't even care about those orders.
You're a white man's whore. That's what you are.
She wasn't laughing.
You a sellout.
She wasn't laughing.
Sellout. You a sellout.
She wasn't laughing. Don't answer the question. Don't lie. Answer the question. She's not laughing this whole time. Yes or no? Why are you co-signing?
Watch your phone now, bro. Keep talking.
Why are you co-signing?
Why you stop talking? Why you stop talking? What's up? Like, talk now.
They don't care.
Dirty ass nigga. Dirty. Dirty. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I want to talk to you.
We told her to stop laughing, and you felt the need to protect her when she was being disrespectful.
Tell her to fix her shoes.
It's as simple as that. She was being disrespectful, and you helped her. You're helping evil. You don't have to. You don't have to, but you made that choice. So now you don't have a right. You don't have a right to say nothing. I feel bad for you. I really do. I feel bad for you. And you really don't care about yourself enough. That you're really here protecting them. What are you here for? To protect us? Huh? No, right? Now you're not saying nothing. When people are asking you the real questions, you're silent. You're silent. But you was ready to say something. Because you're killing people. That's why I'm angry. So tell me why. Why you're killing people. I gave you an answer. You give me one. I gave you the respect, and I gave you an answer. So you tell me why you're killing people. Yes, you're co-signing it. That badge lets you kill people. That badge lets you kill people. It's not a problem of a few bad apples. It's the whole system. So yes, you are killing people. You might not be killing people, but tell me why. Why is the system allowing this? As a part of the system, you might have the answers. You might know you have the answers. What you're looking over there for? People are asking the real questions. You got your men over there. Y'all got us trapped from all sides. So you protect here. People are asking you the real questions, and you don't have any answers. He doesn't have any answers. Out of here, bro. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, saying that you'll hesitate. But him, they won't hesitate.
Let me check it. Be safe, bro.
Hey, I think George said I was gonna be wrapped now for a little bit, so this is the final shot. You know, if you guys want to do the London call and all that stuff. Yeah, as I said. I'm good, Debbie, thanks. I'll just tell him to either call me or text me. Yeah, cool, thanks.
Right there. Hey. Hey, it's Captain. We're at Rockefeller Center. We just smashed a whole bunch of windows at
statement from the crowd lately.
Yeah, there was a lot of chanting. Right now, there are a few protesters that have just quietly sat down in the street. I say quietly. They're saying no justice, no peace. They've said, say his name, George Floyd. You see the police over here. But I do know.
Do you wanna, can you walk backwards?
I don't have, should I be hearing something?
51H.
5-1.
No justice!
Everybody behind this pole. You're too close to the back of the police officer. Behind this pole.
Get ready.
Don't shoot. Sure. Behind the pole.
Right here.
Behind the pole. Thank you.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Everybody back this way, just for safety reasons. Behind the pole.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! Yes! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
Jimmy, you got it. Go, fast move, go. Hey, you got it. Around that side, taking that side. Take that side, go. Move.
Make a hole. Make a hole. Go. Make a hole, go. Stay back. Listen, everybody. I've already established. You will stay back. Stay back. Right behind that tree right now. If you get too close, you'll be putting me out to the danger. Right now. Stay back behind. Go. Do not come close.
Can you move?
You don't have credentials on your subject to be arrested, and you need to go. I'm going to give you one warning. If you're not wearing credentials, you need to go. Put them on. I need to see credentials or you need to go. I'm going to give you if you do not have credentials on, you're subject to be arrested here.
It's okay.
No, they need to go.
There are security guards.
Then you need, right now you're in a secure area, so they can wait for you outside there.
Oh, Lieutenant, just so
I'm letting you know. Right now you must have a credentials on to be here.
Okay, so what we're being told by the police is that
you have to have credentials to be inside of the police lines. Thank you. Guys, if you're not wearing credentials, just like I asked you, right back there.
Yeah, I think that's likely what we're seeing here, because clearly police have said curfew is in effect right now. You must leave. They are allowing people to leave. However, they are refusing back. So I now see that sitting on the ground. So let's just talk about people wanting to won't go far.
Your guys are right there. Hey, hop back here fast. Thank you very much. That's right. I know, you're trying good. I like it. Stay right here for me. Help me out. Thank you. The media has that area by that tree. Here's what I need. I need the arresting officer to come they're coming to me and they got to separate male female.
I need this whole line right here. This whole line to go on the other side 6 feet to the lead park, please. Go on the other side. See those guys? Go to the lead park, please. Which one side? That works. Go to the lead park, please.
Ladies, 25 people are in down from the gallery. So we have 20. Ladies, 25.
Do me a favor, media. I'm not going to push you, but I need you to go back. All right, just go back up to the grates up there, please. See, Jackie already knows.
You guys got to get back on here. We're getting just because we're moving stuff closer.
Yeah, they told us. Okay. That's good to know. Yep. Got it. Or else they won't be back. Got it.
say specifically ask. I agree. Hey, Rick, y'all got that? Figure out who you arrested. Hey, back up here. We have to move you. You're way too close. Thank you. That means up on there. No, I'm letting you know. Don't come off of here, okay? Thank you very much. Stay up on here, guys. Up on there. Thank you.
Yeah, put it on black.
כן, ברור, אבל לא בכוונה מסתירים.
about that, guys. We're making sure that we're...
Do not go down there with that bullshit! Peacefully!
You gotta hear the people here. There's back and forth.
So, yeah, there's some guys.
So guys, we're coming up here, and there's very clearly a strong police presence in front of us. I don't know if you can see that there. Strong police presence.
Not everybody can be out here. But you can sit. You can tag a million people. They will. No matter what you do. That's how you like I said. There's your car right here. Just because you can't be next. I can't get out regardless. I would like to sit in. I don't have any glasses.
Okay. Turn off now or wait a minute?
Okay.
Turn off now or wait a minute? All right. Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear my lovely co-workers next to me. Mandy, my favorite, your favorite, everybody's favorite Facebook Live, Mandy from the Detroit Free Press is going to be taking over here.
I'll be going live right now. Darcy did a really great job. Police are posted up here with a heavy show of force. So I'm going to go live. Thanks for joining us on Detroit Free Press on Facebook.
Thank you guys so much. I'm going to end here. And Mandy's taking over. Thank you guys. Thanks for following with me.
Very angry. A lot of us was peaceful. We only want to and a lot of the times the cover cops out here and they got bandanas and the color changes every day and there a lot of violence that is going on. It is not the protesters half the time. It is the undercover cops, and it sounds crazy, but this shit is true.
Tim's out here. Oh, damn, big bro, you came up. Niggas ain't playing. Niggas got Tim's out here. Yeah, because that shit she did was dirty. Niggas is on the curb, all that. Curb shit, that's what I'm talking about. Curbside curb. She going back. She ain't playing, she going back. She going back.
This shit looks sweet.
Can somebody give me a Yankee hat? I'll pay you. Where's my cousin? Yo, hold on. Let me see those. Let me see those. That's what I was looking for. Let me see those. Where Big Bro at?
They on the sale items now.
He's like, yo, you got the chick in the wheelchair coming, my nigga. I quit. The chick in the wheelchair is about to get right, my nigga. I'm done.
Go back in there though.
Big Bro, these is yours? Damn, I'm just snatching keys. Yo, why is this child standing here? Why is this child standing here? Why is it? No, get this child out of here. Take that child across the street. That child should not be here at all. Damn, she got a box. Yo, shorty, I need a Yankee hat. I need a Yankee hat. I need a Yankee hat.
Yes! 1, 2, step!
I'll see you too.
After the crowd is still kneeling, and once DPD kneel with them, the other crowd wants to leave. So it's not much order like the past couple of days. We don't know what they want to do, but DPD is warning them. They said they don't want it to escalate.
All right, it looks like the crowd is dispersing.
Come on, we go.
If you don't disperse, you'll be arrested. And by and large, the crowd looks to be dispersing peacefully.
I think they're relocating.
Yeah, and probably relocating. So. I'm Mandy Wright with the Detroit Free Press. We're here for night 4 of protests in Detroit, Michigan. And the police have a show of force at 3rd Avenue, the site location of their headquarters. They're not letting people on the lawn like they did last night.
Past the curfew, time to go home. Successful protest, it was peaceful. Now it's time to go home. That's all we're doing. Absolutely. My name is Quincy. Yep. Ceasefire Detroit. By not being consumed. By not being consumed.
People are trying desperately to get this crowd to leave peacefully. Heavy show of force here with the Detroit police. And they're ready. I can see their pellet guns. I can see their tear gas canister, their tear gas guns.
Officers, we have people with cars this way. Is there any way that we can get folks to their cars this way?
I'll work it out.
This way? Straight ahead? Alright, we're going to head to the left. We only have people with cars.
The crowd is now moving up 3rd Avenue at Bagley. Here's the MGM to put it in perspective for you.
Keep moving! Keep moving, y'all!
Give me another quick.
Talked to some of the organizers, a guy named Quincy from Ceasefire. He said this is the end of it. This is not relocation. This is not regrouping somewhere. It's go home. The organizers, people with bullhorns, this is the first time we've seen this. I'm being very vocal in saying it's a peaceful protest. It's successful. We're after the curfew. It's time to go home. It seems the message that's important to focus on, the message, is sinking in. Some people are unhappy. Some people are resisting, but they are moving in the direction they're being ordered by the people who are running this show. So far, the police have not delivered a warning about tear gas. We're told they have to give it several times before they're going to deploy it, but they have said curfew's up. It seems that police are being very patient.
Looks like the crowd's moving. I'm going to stay with the crowd just to see where they go. I'm Andy Wright with the Detroit Free Press. Thanks for joining us the last 4 evenings. My colleague Darcy just crushed it today on the walk. That's really hard to do. And folks protesting
conflict and contradiction that creates the rage that sends people into the streets.
And what about the militarization of police? I mean, we've seen that change dramatically over the last 20 years, where we see even the smallest departments across our country have weapons and gear that we would just never think a police officer would need.
Well, I will tell you, as a member of Congress serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I interact with our military a lot. And sometimes when I see some of the police in our communities, I can't tell the difference, except for maybe the color of the uniform. So once again, if you view a community like you are on foreign soil and you're fighting an enemy, then why are we surprised that the community reacts the way it does? So I don't believe that you need military equipment in our neighborhoods. But if that's, I mean, could you imagine tanks rolling through Beverly Hills? The only reason they'd be rolling through Beverly Hills would be to arrest people on the other side of town. But a police situation would never be handled that way in an affluent area.
And now we have activated the National Guard and put into place curfews. How long do you think we're going to be in this situation? We've just seen cities extend their curfews, starting curfews earlier now, 4 p.m.
Well, I am certainly hoping that the National Guard will be leaving soon. I am hoping that they will not be needed. I am hoping that the looting that we see stops. I am hoping that we are able to get back to focus on the real issue.
We entered sort of this new reality as a nation, a duality, right? Dealing with both the...
And I understand we have our own Conan Nolan with us at this moment. Conan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. So, Congresswoman, if you don't mind, nice to hear from you.
Thank you.
It sounds, though, that because we've heard from Connie Rice, the civil rights attorney who's sued the LAPD before and is being brought in on tactics, on actually in figuring out who the next police chief would be when Charlie Beck was retiring. This is a city that says it has made progress with the LAPD, and they've changed the culture. But based on what I hear you say, they haven't done that enough, or you're not convinced.
No, I was referring to the national picture. I mean, even though it's difficult for some of my friends who are younger to hear this, policing, has changed significantly from the days of Daryl Gates. If Daryl Gates was the chief of police right now, he would be arguing that Floyd's veins in his neck were different than normal people. I'm sure you recall when he stood up at a press conference and literally said that, and said that's the reason why the chokehold kills people. I do believe we have changed in Los Angeles. We've not changed enough, but change has happened. We still have police-involved shootings. We still have people that have died at the hands of police that are questioned, and we still have a situation in Los Angeles.
Bullets or whatever, that angers the crowd. That angers some people in the crowd, and then they go right back. So that's kind of what we saw here not too long ago. It seems that crowd has kind of moved back, and you can see the shields have come out for the police right there. It's interesting, and there they go. They're moving forward.
All right, here they go. They're coming forward right now.
Maybe 20 minutes ago. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, these officers were kneeling with the protesters, and now 20 minutes later, they're trying to move that line forward. They're telling us to stay kind of out the way. We're gonna move a little bit back.
We are 22 minutes away from the 9 o'clock curfew, and we have seen this over the last few nights when it was instituted that as we get closer to 9 o'clock, the police, law enforcement, the Georgia National Guard, the Highway Patrol as well, the Georgia State Patrol, they become more
involved. And there's the Guard moving in right there.
And that's something that we've seen as well.
The Guard is moving in, Georgia National Guard moving in right behind them.
Yeah, we see them kind of move closer and closer and move beyond that skirmish line, that original line right there on that backside of Marietta Street. We do see them advance, and then we start to see them take over the entire intersection and clear it out. And you see that officer right there, Hope, with all of the zip ties. We can likely expect more folks to be taken into custody once we hit that 9 o'clock hour, if not before.
Hey, Hope, you showed us about 25 minutes ago an organizer, a big guy who was wearing red, who was on top of a vehicle. Do you see any organizers now that are in the middle of this as law enforcement starts to advance?
I don't right now. I did talk to that gentleman who was on the car. He told me he was not an organizer, but he felt like he needed to take it upon himself to keep order, make sure that people weren't getting violent, and that make sure people were looking out for anyone trying to instigate violence, because he wanted to make sure that we were keeping this protest peaceful, and he wanted to make sure that they weren't inciting violence. So that's why he kind of took it upon himself. So I did talk to him. I haven't seen him since I talked to him probably about 15 minutes ago now. So we kind of see, again, we're seeing that. We've seen this for the last few nights, some of the protesters coming back up to that line, and as we've seen the last 3 nights, when they do that, the police are not going to let them gather. They're going to push them back because they want them to obey by that curfew. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. Right now, they're just going to walk forward, or if they're going to deploy more tear gas.
And a reminder that the vehicles back there are armored personnel carriers, and that is the vehicle that is being used tonight, or that is certainly in the area of Centennial Olympic Park from the Georgia National Guard.
And we do see some of those Georgia National Guard members moving into place behind or right along with the Atlanta police officers that are right out there, all of them with their shields and their face masks with gas masks on. So we can anticipate likely more of that tear gas to be deployed into the crowd as we get closer to 9 o'clock. We're 20 minutes out now from the city's curfew. Again, not too long ago, about 40 minutes ago, we had those phone alerts going on. We do know that there have also been billboards placed around the city, letting folks know, making sure they are aware of the curfew. And again, Police Chief Erica Shields saying that curfew is to serve as a tool to help them kind of weed people out and know who's still around there that may not have the best intentions. And so we will begin to see that as we get closer and closer to 9 p.m. Right now, the chanting
no
continues.
Peace, no
yes.
justice.
I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but from what I'm seeing, there's only a small group that is still here right now. Majority of the group is either left or they're farther down Centennial Olympic Park Drive right now, but there is still a small group that has come back up to this line of police officers. And as we've seen over the past couple of nights, they do not let them gather for that long, especially as it gets closer to that 9 o'clock hour. But for the most part, majority of those protesters are either gone or they're way down Centennial Olympic Park at this point.
And right now, this is an overhead view of that area where Hope is. Hope would kind of be standing to the bottom of the screen, out of the frame. That skirmish line that you see with the people that were right there in that crosswalk, that is where the remaining protesters are in relation to the officers that had advanced through that intersection. And again, this kind of follows and stays true to what we have been seeing from the Atlanta police as we approach 9 o'clock. Right there to the right of your screen. You can't really see all of it, but you see that 9P, and that is the notification that the curfew is quickly approaching here in the city of Atlanta. If you look down further in the street, you can see what appears to be some other law enforcement vehicles with their lights flashing in the distance. That will be likely officers kind of monitoring the area between where we see the protesters here and farther in the distance, leaving the
Let's walk on this side.
Out of materials from a construction site. And so we'll be watching tonight to see if there's any other action similar to that we see from these protesters as we are in night 4 of watching these demonstrations in downtown Atlanta.
You know, as you take a look at this area, I keep thinking about over the weekend where Atlanta police were allowing traffic, remember the traffic patterns? It would
mind. Is this real? Can this really be happening?
One of the entrances where the officers were securing it, it looks like maybe those motor officers have moved on, but certainly at the Bloomingdale's there's a line of patrol cars that are stopped here, and that person is just going to drive right by those officers, and they have no idea that what just happened right down the street.
All right, joining us on the phone in just a minute, we'll see if he is there. We have Sid Hale. He is an expert in law enforcement. Are you with us right now, Sid?
Yes.
Okay, what can you tell us about how police are policing this situation? If you have been watching, we are seeing looters going in and out of that mall there, the Santa Monica Place Mall. And what they're doing is in a coordinated effort, driving up cars, getting out of the cars, loading up boxes, as many as they can carry, jumping in the car and driving off. Some of the vehicles with their license plate covered. How do police handle a situation like this where they have a huge mall and then at the same time they have this peaceful demonstration going on the other side?
Well, that is the problem. What happens is that we're overwhelmed, and so as a result, our focus of effort has to shift from enforcing the laws to keeping the peace. And so as a result, it means that some crimes are going to go, I don't want to say unpunished, but we don't have the ability to arrest. Now, I will say that if riots, and most of our recovery of property occurred after the riots when people actually gave us enough evidence to complete the investigation. So they're not getting away with it with impunity, even though it appears that way.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to hide their license plates only to take them off. Didn't want to be spotted probably by officers on the ground trying to hide their license plates, not realizing that we're shooting their license plates up from our chopper up above. Sid, this is Jonathan Gonzalez here with you. We appreciate you joining us. And, you know, yesterday before the National Guard was called in, Mayor Eric Garcetti was asked, and he had mentioned, look, this isn't 92. We don't anticipate calling in the National Guard. Obviously, a few hours later, that changed. But as you're watching what we've been seeing over the last few days or so and knowing that you were on the ground in 92, how do these two different incidents compare, both of which starting with a brutal police arrest, in this case ending in a death in Minneapolis?
Well, there's more similarities, sadly, than there are differences. One difference I have noticed, though, is that the crowds or the mobs tend to be more confrontational. Now, the interesting thing is that you're talking about these people that are looting. I need to make a couple comments. One is those aren't protesters. Those are thieves. Yeah. They were thieves before the protest and the incident, and they're going to be thieves afterwards. So as a result of it, they have as much to fear from the people that are legitimately protesting as they do from the police, for the simple reason is that they are going to be providing the evidence. And so a lot of these are going to come out after the fact.
Yeah, it was interesting because we saw a man on a bicycle actually rip the license plate cover off the car. Being people kind of taking it into their own hands and doing what they can. So I'm sure you're right. We will see a lot of that. And now, these days, everyone has a cell phone and a cell phone with a camera, a very good one, so you can document some of these things.
Yes, exactly. That was one of the things I was just going to suggest. Rather than be confrontational, which is just going to create problems, especially violent problems, simply get us the evidence and send it in. Now, we're going to need a witness. Normally, we're not allowed to admit film without somebody testifying and amplifying where it occurred, when it occurred, and how it happened, and things like that. But all we really need is a license plate, and if you've got footage, so much the better. But do it from a distance and do it from safety.
Sid, we can't help but stress, and thank you for pointing this out. This is taking away from a very important message that's happening literally 3 blocks away on Ocean, where there is a peaceful protest of several hundred people going on. And as we continue to see these images of looting, how much does this, impact what the protesters are doing and how that's being policed, knowing that this is happening just a few blocks away?
That's frustrating. What happens is that you're looking at 2 different groups here. One is a crowd, one is a mob. A crowd is actually under the constitutional protection, and we are required to assist them in legitimate protests. Now, in some cases, it gets a little bit carried away, but we usually tend to be very lenient on it as long as there's no violence. The other group are not protesters. Those are thugs and thieves. The problem is that they steal the resources. So we're caught in this tactical dilemma between protecting the legitimate protesters and trying to enforce the laws to protect property. And so as a result of that, usually the senior incident commander, but often the ground commander, the deployed commander, has to decide where he or she is going to deploy their forces. Typically, that is on the side of public safety. And so although this is reprehensible and repugnant as far as the thefts are going, it's the least of the 2 responsibilities. And so personally, I think they made the right call, although I know that it's going to grind on them.
Sid, how much does the curfew help the officers who are patrolling this area?
Dramatic. I couldn't even begin to tell you. As a matter of fact, when they passed the curfew in 1992, on the last riots, the last big riot that I was in, the deputies nicknamed it reasonable cause looting, because the people that stayed out after the curfew were no longer under the protection. They were an unlawful assembly, and we could arrest them for that alone. And that solved so many problems. And with that, I will just add that people that aren't even protesting, and I know this is a huge inconvenience, particularly when we're talking about curfew that starts at 4 in the afternoon. You can't imagine how much better, how much that facilitates our ability to redeploy resources and deal with these thugs and the looters. And so we're really hoping, and I'm obviously not speaking for any department right now because I'm retired, but from a law enforcement perspective, we're really hoping that the community will get behind the curfew and just stay home for this, which leaves us with the people that are breaking windows and stealing property and fighting with each other, and let us deal with those entirely.
Sid, tell us a little bit about your background, what your expertise is. We understand you do have an expertise in non-lethal force, and then tell us more about when you believe police should use that.
Well, yes, that has been my interest for, well, now it's almost 50 years. When PCP, when it hit the streets, it made every non-lethal option available to us instantly obsolete, because the vast majority are pain compliance, which means that they induce pain to achieve compliance. The only 2 that really don't, even to this day, are tasers and pepper spray. The rest still work by pain. And so as a result of that, I began studying it, and I started writing some things on it, and in short order, it went global. I ended up teaching all over the world and still do. There's a huge amount of it.
Unfortunately, we have to go. We thank you, though, for your expertise in explaining that and giving us your insight into what's going on and how authorities are able to police this. Thank you, Sid Hale.
And as we're watching News Chopper 4 right now, we're seeing what appears to be an REI getting broken into. Can we go up to News Chopper 4 right now and see? Gil, are you still with us?
Hey, Jonathan, it's actually Eliana up here in News Chopper 4 Alpha this time. Yeah, no problem. Gil just left to go capture something down in the Orange County area, but we are looking at the REI store here on the cross of 4th and Santa Monica, where, as you said, there are looters going in, and here's an additional person coming up right now. They broke the glass there on the doors, and they are going in there. We've seen plenty of people come out with all types of recreational equipment, mostly bikes. So we've seen them go in there for bikes.
Started after curfew.
Okay. And they are throwing, so there are people out on the road that are throwing things at police. This is difficult right now because, as you can see, traffic is still going. So there's protesters around cars, and the police presence is right behind us right now. We're going to kind of move a little bit out of their way so that we don't get in between them. But you see them on the left of us, and on the right. And again, we're just still further down Lucky Street right now. The traffic is still moving, so they're kind of trying to stop, let those lights change. There are still a lot of people. I mean, I can probably see maybe 100 people. And at this point, it may not necessarily all be protesters. It may just be people who are walking around down in this area who didn't even join in on the protest earlier, but it is that curfew now, and they're out walking around. So this is where we at 9:04, I believe. Yes, 9:04. This is where we're at right now.
Hope there looks to be more.
Law enforcement tries to push everyone back.
With each night that passes, there seems to be more efficiency from law enforcement. They seem to be more coordinated and more purposeful on what they are trying to accomplish against those protesters who opt not to leave.
Yeah, I would definitely say I have seen that since being out in these out here since Friday to today. I have definitely seen more law enforcement out here. I definitely have seen, and I actually see one of them has a tear gas can in their hand, so I'm going to move a little bit out of the way for that. But we have seen that they're not really giving any more time, because a lot of the people, at least a lot of the people I talked to today, this is day 4 of protests for them too. They've come out here before, so if these are the same people who continually to come out and protest and support that cause, it might also be the same people who are out here later in the night, who want to still join in at that 8:30 hour. So we've seen more police, we've seen more National Guard, and we see that they seem to have less patience as it gets towards that 9 o'clock hour, because they don't want those people out there on the roads. But again, I do see one of the officers just checked his watch. He does have a can of tear gas in his hand. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. They're moving forward again, as you can see. And we see him moving forward. We see that can in his hand right there. We're trying to get out of their way. We don't want to get caught in between the middle of them. There are protesters who are still throwing things at police. We do see some of them with guns that are loaded with rubber bullets. I'm hearing a couple of protesters screaming at them, "We're going to stay out here all night." Oh, they want us out of the way? So we're going to move out of their way right now. We're going to run a little bit further down. There's a parking deck over here, so we're going to move out of their way.
A look at Sky Tracker and the downtown area, Centennial Olympic Park Drive. That's what you have been looking at as police, law enforcement, Georgia National Guard have been advancing from Marietta Street at the apex there of where the CNN Center begins at McCormick Schmick, which was looted and hit pretty hard by protesters on Friday night into Saturday morning. But now this is a different story again, as they have been advancing toward the protesters. Joe Hankey standing by live. Joe, tell us exactly where you are in proximity to law enforcement and the protesters.
Well, as you mentioned,
that will not go unenforced if you choose to take part in this sort of activity. And as we just saw there, a large crowd of peaceful protesters moving through Hollywood. And once again, as has been the pattern,
The boys. Those are the boys. I told y'all it was the boys. I told y'all the nigga was walking with us. That was the cops. They got him. Ah, they got him. Oh, they got him. Fuck. They fucking him up. Look at the other nigga scared to death. Fuck him up. Jeff, no. Don't go over there, bro. They throwing shit at them. Look, look, look. Damn, they got him. Jeff! Jeff! They got Jeff, man. Oh, they hit that guy over the head. Oh, they hit him over the head, bro. He's like, God damn it. All right, we out here. Fuck, hold on. That was Jeff? Nah, don't lie. I get serious, B. Microsoft took a big L there. Jeff, no! Nigga said rest in peace, Jeff. Fuck Jeff. But not like this. Yo, Jeff. Yo, I'm out. No, Jeff. Yo, these comments are hilarious, bro. Y'all worse than me, bro. Yo, y'all worse than me, bro. I thought I was bad. The fuck, damn, dude. This guy here, bro.
And now we are, where are we, Larry?
Is Gregory Avenue and El Centro. So if you're familiar with the Hollywood area, it's just on the west side of the Paramount Studios. And what LAPD has done is they've set up a skirmish line on one end. That's the bottom of your picture right there. We're just going to move by this building here 1 second. And they've got reinforcements. They've got officers that are continuing down. And then on the western edge of this same block, there are a number of people up there as well, and there are LAPD officers that have them blocked into this area. So it appears that these people, in fact, move the camera to the left a little bit. You'll see that they have another very large group of LAPD officers that are running right there through that intersection to help reinforce the officers that are already there. And I should note earlier that I saw several buildings, or not buildings, I saw several buses, large buses, the kind that you would transport inmates from the LA County Jail. I saw them driving behind the procession here. I have not seen them lately, but it appears that they are going to start taking some of these folks into custody. Now, we're going to move to the north of the cemetery real quick. We're going to go over to an area on Santa Monica near El Centro, where officers are taking rocks and bottles. In fact, they're running away to the left, 1 block to the left. Officers were engaging with these people here that were part of the original demonstration. And you can see as you tilt up, something made them run up that street right now. In fact, the LAPD helicopter is keeping track of the leading edge. It appears that there was a vehicle that drove up and was able to drop something off to some of these protesters. It looks like it might have been water bottles. And then some of those bottles and rocks were being thrown at officers here in front of a car wash on Santa Monica. So now people running in the streets. Now, LAPD is not in pursuit. They are not running after them. So we don't know what